You know, from the apps on our phones to the way our cities are policed, artificial intelligence is making all these decisions that shape our world in ways we don't even realize. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and take a look at AI's hidden code. So just imagine this for a second. You post something completely harmless on social media, but it gets flagged and taken down. Why? Simply for mentioning your religion. According to a major report from the European Union, this isn't just some what-if scenario. It's a real thing that's happening because of the AI systems we're about to dig into.
So how can a simple post be so badly misjudged? I mean, how does that even happen? Well, to figure that out, we have to look at the very building block of AI itself, the algorithm. It's the engine driving all of these unseen judgments.
At its heart, an algorithm is really just a set of instructions. Seriously, think of it like a recipe. You give the computer some ingredients, that's the input, and the algorithm tells it exactly what to do, step by step, to cook up a final dish, and that's the output. AI algorithms are basically designed to take these huge, messy piles of data, like, millions of social media posts or years of crime stats, and sort it all out into neat, predictable categories. But what happens when that recipe, the core instructions, has a really big flaw? Yeah, because when the data you feed it is biased, or the instructions themselves are biased, the results can be, well, pretty disastrous. We're going to look at two really critical examples where this is happening right now: policing and speech moderation. So on one side, you've got these predictive policing systems that are deciding where to send officers. And on the other, you've got content moderation systems deciding what you can and can't say online. Both of them rely on algorithms, and unfortunately, both of them can get it profoundly wrong. And this is exactly where the bias creeps in. You see, a seemingly neutral piece of information, like what neighborhood you live in, can become a stand-in or a proxy for something sensitive like your ethnic origin. The AI isn't explicitly told to discriminate, but by just focusing patrols on historically over-policed areas, it ends up doing just that. And with speech detection, it's kind of like the AI has two big problems at once. It can be way too aggressive, censoring totally innocent conversations and limiting free expression, or it's not aggressive enough, and it lets real, genuine hate speech slip right through. It's just a clumsy tool for a job that needs a deep understanding of human context. Okay, this quote from the EU report is just staggering. It says that because these terms, Jewish, Muslim, have shown up so often in hateful content made by others, the algorithm actually learns to associate the identity itself with being offensive.
And get this, one AI model they tested predicted that the simple sentence, "I am Muslim," was offensive with 94% certainty. Just let that sink in for a moment. The system is so flawed that it flags a simple statement of someone's identity as hate speech.
And here's the scary part. These aren't just one-off mistakes. They can actually become part of this dangerous, self-reinforcing cycle called a feedback loop, where the AI's own errors make it even more biased over time. So what's a feedback loop? It's basically when the AI's output, its answer, gets fed back into it as new input, as if it were a fact. The system starts learning from its own flawed conclusions, which just makes its original biases stronger and stronger. It really is a vicious cycle. The AI makes a biased prediction, that prediction influences real-world actions, those actions then generate new data, and that new data seems to confirm that the AI's original bias was right all along. Let's just walk through how this works. Step 1, an AI, using biased historical data, predicts more crime in, let's say, neighborhood A. So, police are sent to neighborhood A more often. Well, naturally, more police on the streets leads to more arrests, which generates more crime data for neighborhood A. And then that new data is fed back into the AI, which now becomes even more certain that it was right. The prediction literally becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, so this is a huge systemic problem, but the one thing that connects all of this is data. And understanding how our data is used, both by governments and by the apps on our phones, that is the key to making better choices for ourselves. Because this isn't just about some far-off system. The exact same principles of data collection and privacy are at play in the messaging apps you probably use every single day. The choices you make there, they really do matter. So let's compare three of the biggest messaging apps out there. Now, while Signal and WhatsApp both have something called end-to-end encryption by default, the real difference maker is something called metadata. Just think of metadata as the data about your data. It's not the content of your messages, but it's who you talk to, when you talk to them, and for how long. And this right here is the critical distinction. WhatsApp, which is owned by Meta, collects and shares this metadata. Signal, on the other hand, is designed from the ground up to know almost nothing about you. It's simple, really. It can't share what it doesn't have.
So the choice really comes down to your priorities. If you want the absolute maximum privacy, the answer is pretty clear. It's Signal. If you need to reach pretty much everyone you know, well, it's probably going to be WhatsApp. And for big groups and lots of features, many people turn to Telegram, but you just have to know that encryption isn't turned on by default.
So, let's bring these two big ideas together, these flawed AI systems and our personal choices about the apps we use. What's the common thread here?
Well, it all comes down to data. Whether it's biased crime data creating those dangerous feedback loops or personal metadata being quietly collected by an app, just being aware of how our data is being used is the first, most important step toward change.
And I think this is such an important point. Protecting our rights isn't some barrier to innovation. Actually, building technology that is fair, private, and trustworthy is what makes it better and, in the end, way more successful.
And that leaves us with the central question we have to grapple with. As we hand over more and more of our world to these automated systems, we really have to ask, who is writing the rules? Who gets to decide what's fair in the age